Hello, my name is Marianne Barnett, and I am the Transition Coordinator for the Wisconsin Educational Services Program for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Outreach. Thank you for watching this segment of our virtual job fair. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing my colleague and teammate, Keith Bursek, who is going to interview our guest for today. Take it away, Keith.
Thanks, Marianne. Yes, I'm Keith Borosek, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing Jordenne Butler. And so Jordenne Butler is here with us from Kwik Trip. And I've had fond memories of working for Kwik Trip as a company in several different capacities, but we're here today to learn more about some of the things related to Kwik Trip and how we could even work there. And so the first thing I would like you to do, Jordenne, if you could, is please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the company that you work for.
Yes. Well, Keith, thank you very much for having us. My name is Jordenne Butler, and I am the Campus Talent Strategist at Kwik Trip. Kwik Trip is a convenience retail store chain where we serve over 500. We have 500 retail store locations in Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, and most recently in Illinois.
And then what is your role in this company?
Absolutely. My specific role as Campus Talent Strategist is I take a look at our talent pipeline programs. So that would be internships, youth apprenticeships, really any opportunity for talent to come in the door early.
And so how long have you been in that position? That sounds very interesting.
Yes, thank you. I've been in this specific position for just about 7 months, so still a little new to this position, but I've been at Kwik Trip for over a year.
Then did you work in the retail part of it at all, or were you mostly in the corporate headquarters?
I was in the corporate headquarters. I started off as an intern, actually. So it's been a super great opportunity to start off as an intern and then move into my position where I get to work with other interns and help them build the skill sets and experience that I was able to gain.
Awesome. Um, if you could, can you give us a little synopsis of, you did a little bit in the intro, but like how the company started, like where is the headquarters of Kwik Trip, and so where the headquarters are, and then what's something that the company is really known for?
Absolutely. Well, we are a family-owned company by the Zitlow family, and our first convenience store location was opened in 1965 in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Well, even though our first location was in Eau Claire, our headquarters today are in La Crosse, Wisconsin. And a fun fact I would say is we tend to be known for our vertical integration. We like to say we make it, we ship it, we sell it.
And so often, even on our travels, we see Kwik Trip trucks on the road, and we know exactly what they're doing, bringing us good stuff.
Yes, yes.
Um, so this interview here is designed for people, young people who may be interested in working for Kwik Trip. So what would you suggest to young people who would like to apply and work for Kwik Trip? What are some things you would suggest?
Absolutely. Well, one thing I would say to young people that are interested is we hire a variety of positions here at Kwik Trip. I think a lot of times when people think of Kwik Trip, they think of our retail stores, which is great. So they only think of positions in retail, but we hire for a variety of different positions. Like I mentioned, we are a very vertically integrated company. So we hire people in the science field to test all of our products before we ship them out to the stores, individuals in marketing, human resources, individuals who like technology for our informational systems. So we offer a wide variety of career paths.
So now narrowing to the process of looking for a job in that wide opportunity that you were mentioning, are those the applications themselves, are they something that someone can find online, or is it they have to
Yes.
go to a store or the headquarters? What does that look like, the applications?
Absolutely. All of our applications are online at quicktrip.jobs, JOBS, and you can find everything that's open right now. And even if you don't see something exactly in your area of interest, we have an Email Me Jobs tab at the top right corner. You can click on that, put in all your information and your area of interest, and we will email you as soon as we post a position.
Cool. So next goes into that interview itself.
Mhm.
Is it done and now with COVID and that are the way the interviews are done, are they done face to face or are they only virtual? Is that something that's changed recently or is changing?
Mhm. Yes, yes. So we are doing both right now. More our retail and production positions will most likely stay virtual via Zoom, but our corporate office positions, we are starting to bring people back in to do face-to-face interviews, and then obviously we will accommodate to what the candidate needs.
So, there are a lot of different positions in the company. Is there anything particular about like a expected dress code, um, uniform, perhaps?
Mhm. It really depends on the department. So it's either business casual or a uniform if a specific department will have that. Other things to note is if you're working with food, you must wear a hairnet. Um, and then, yeah, just really minor things that would be up to the specific department you are working in.
So, as any employer and an employee, I have to ask, what happens if you don't follow those things?
Mhm. Again, that would be up to the specific department, but it would just start off with a conversation with your supervisor and find the best method to get you up to speed on following dress code.
Okay. The other thing, we've had a couple of questions from students. They're interested. Can they wear hoodies or can they chew gum? What's that like?
Mhm. You can wear hoodies in some of our departments that, especially like our kitchens or production facilities that are working in super cold temperatures, we allow hoodies. And then gum, the only areas you are not allowed to chew gum in is if you are working with food.
Yeah, we don't want that to end up in food. No. Um, so a lot of students, a lot of people like to have their phones on them, like to be connected. Is that something that there's a blanket policy for at Kwik Trip? Can you explain that a little bit for us?
Yeah, in terms of now, do you mean the actual day to day when you're working in your position using your phone? It does depend on each department again, but for the most part, if you need to send a quick text, if you're running late or anything, phones are fine. But for the most part, we ask that you use it when you are not in your scheduled shift.
Okay. The other thing, so some of our students, so they're
Mhm,
deaf, hard of hearing, or maybe deaf blind,
mhm.
they sometimes will use their phones to communicate with their coworkers or those who can hear around them. Is there an opportunity to be flexible in that
Oh,
between
absolutely.
like a employee and a supervisor, perhaps?
Absolutely, yes. We would accommodate for that.
So then, when they're working, is there a specific way that employees look put down their time? Sometimes there are like actual physical time cards they have to pen and paper fill out,
Mhm,
or is it a digital login? It may be different in different places, but you want to expand on that a little bit for Quick Trip?
mhm. Of course. All of ours for our time clocks are virtual. So it would either be with a physical time clock where you would swipe in and out or on a computer where you would punch in your time.
And so, what are some of the expectations if someone became sick? So if they're working for Quick Trip and they don't feel good, or there's is there holidays where they have off? Can you explain some of those, the time off things?
Yes. Well, of course, health is our first priority for our coworkers. So if a coworker is sick, we just ask that they communicate with their supervisor as soon as they can. In terms of vacation, our schedule typically comes out 2 to 3 weeks in advance. So again, just being having that open communication with your supervisor as soon as you know of a vacation that may come up or time that you may need off. And then our holidays, we do run our retail and many of our production facilities over holidays. So you may work on a holiday, but we do offer holiday pay.
Okay, so you may have to work, but if you know ahead of time, that's always a good place to have that conversation well ahead of time.
Yes.
Okay. So there are oftentimes regularly scheduled staff meetings and those kind of things. Is that something an employee would be expected to attend?
Mhm.
So how do they have them? Is it a scheduled thing? Like everyone goes to a meeting once a month, once a year?
Again, that really depends on the department, but I would say each department does have regular meetings, whether it's once a week, once a month, or once a year.
So an employee a student from from the population that we support, they may be deaf blind, or hard of hearing. So they may be able to speak, they may not. Is there at staff meetings, if a employee would ask for accommodations, is that something that you guys do work with the individual on? Do they have to ask for it ahead of time? Do you have any experience working with providing accommodations like that?
Yes, if a coworker does request an interpreter, they will be there at the meeting.
Great, that's great to know. Um, and is that something, do you know if a supervisor will just automatically set up if the employee is going to be there for those meetings, or is that something the employee would have to say, hey, can I have an interpreter for my meeting?
The supervisor will automatically.
Okay, and then it gets scheduled from there.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So with the unique population that we support, we had a question on if you are aware of any deaf, hard of hearing, or deaf-blind employees of Kwik Trip.
Yes, we currently have 10 to 15 deaf coworkers. We don't have the exact number, but I was given that range.
Wow, that's cool. And then, so students who are in high school right now, they're looking at different tracks of study, different
Mhm.
classes. Is there anything that would be very helpful to a high school student who's looking at considering classes to take this fall or in their career that would be helpful for a career for them working for Kwik Trip?
Oh, we don't have any specific recommendations. I think just because Kwik Trip hires a wide variety of career options, really any class they take could help them apply to their future career at Kwik Trip if they are so interested. Um, so I would say just getting that experience and just taking the chance to apply and going through the interview process. Our recruiters are great at helping individuals find their best career path and what best fits their needs and interests.
And so for a high school student interested in a career, is that something they can start working right away at Kwik Trip, or do they have to wait until they're over 18? Is there specifics on that?
Yep, we can hire high school students in our retail store locations. For our corporate office, we typically hire 18 and older.
Okay. And so an employee who's working for Kwik Trip, they're working for several years. Is there an opportunity for them to advance or earn raises?
Yes, absolutely. We love to promote from within. And then in terms of raises, after your first 90 days, you have your first performance appraisal with your supervisor. And as long as you are meeting company standards, you will get a raise.
All right. always good to know. The one of the things that our students see, our populations see, is that jobs students tend to maybe not stay in a position, or they move on, or find another, maybe it doesn't work. Have you found a particular reason that students tend, or young employees tend to not continue at the company, either the
Mhm,
hours or the holidays? Any particular thing that kind of stands out that they would be aware of?
mhm. At this time, we don't have an easy way to find out turnover by age. However, generally the main reason people voluntarily leave the company is for family, health, or personal reasons.
Okay. And so, as a young person who's interested in a position, they know that there comes those holidays and things in there. What are some of the reasons that people give for wanting to stay in the company? They start and then they make it their career choice. What are some of those reasons that you've seen?
Absolutely. Well, we've been told that the comments we have received are regards to our culture, flexibility, and growth opportunities. And I want to touch on our culture real quick. Our mission is essentially the golden rule of treating others how you would like to be treated. And as a current employee, and I'm sure Keith, I hope you can attest to it too, that we really do live by our mission statement here, and d- treating others how you want to be treated, and just being a good person is very important here at Quick Trip.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. Um, Fond memories of the stores that I worked at. And so now, with a new generation of students coming into the workforce, sometimes there's a particular thing that kind of sticks out that, oh, they, they want, they're they're not sure how to interview, they're not sure how to, they to navigate that interview process, or even they're like, hey, why don't I get these more breaks? Have you seen anything where you've noticed that there's more requests for this, or more pushback, or more requests to navigate things in a different way from younger employees?
At this point in time, we have not received those comments. I will say, in terms of in the interview process, um, just be yourself. We've been told that sometimes we ask them different or maybe strange interview questions. And it's because we really want to get to know you as a person. Again, going back to our culture and our mission being so important to us, we can teach you the technical, your day to day skills, but we can't teach you how to be a good person. So just come to your interview with your life experiences, ready to talk about why you care about others and why you feel like you'd be a good fit for Quick Trip.
Right, just being open and honest is important.
Absolutely.
Mm. So what so as an employee who's starting to work at a store or the warehouse or
Mhm,
anything like that, if there's something that comes up as like a conflict or
mhm,
a, a challenge, what's something that they can do to help solve that? Is
mhm.
there a way to that they're directed to follow, and how to solve conflict, or if they have a question or they're stuck on something?
Yes. Well, our first piece of advice would be to go to your supervisor and have that open communication with them. If it is a situation where they do not feel comfortable going to their supervisor, we do have an anonymous hotline that they can call or email to address their concerns.
Awesome. And so now you've been working for QuickChep for a little while. Could you share something that you've experienced as you feel like, oh, this is the best part of working for Quick Trip?
Absolutely. I would have to go back to when the pandemic first hit, and while a lot of companies were closing their doors or unfortunately having to lay off employees, we were growing and we were looking to hire more employees. And so getting to interact with those individuals who you could tell the concern in their voice and just the uncertainty of the world, and being able to offer them that little piece of hope that, yes, we have opportunities for you. We want to help you. Let's find where you would fit in Quick Trip. That's probably been my favorite experience so far at Quick Trip.
Awesome. And yes, so many people were looking for work or concerned about their job and the job security they were in. And so that's always a good thing to hear, that Quick Trip is taking the initiative to bring people in and give them an opportunity.
Yes, and during that time, we were very open and honest with individuals that if it was just a short period of time that they were laid off from work, um, and then they would be able to go back to their
Mm,
position, we were a no questions asked, that they could work for us for that time being, and then go back to their position if they choose to.
what a great opportunity. Uh, What would you, if you could, you're a newer employee yourself,
Mhm.
so someone who's interested in working for Quick Trip, what would you tell them if they were, as a new employee, if they were just getting started, like their first day was tomorrow? What would you tell them?
Yes, I would tell them just to be open to all the opportunities that Quick Trip has and to not be afraid to introduce yourself to individuals. For myself, I started off as an intern, and in previous internships at other companies, it was the stereotypical intern where you don't speak until you're asked to. You just take notes at meetings, and it's that very stereotypical, but that couldn't be further from the truth at Quick Trip. From my first day, it was made very apparent that they wanted to hear my opinions. They wanted to hear what my thoughts were. And it was very refreshing. So I would tell people, just introduce yourself to individuals, because they're very excited to have you a part of the team.
And with any team, there's a potential for diversity and
Yes.
uh, different cultures, representations. Is there anything that Quick Trip specifically does to uh, reinforce equity in the workplace, or um, be inclusive of some cultural sensitivities or differences that people may have?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we are so excited because we are actually in the recruitment process right now for an inclusion specialist. And we are really hoping that this turns into a full department, at Quick Trip, that we are able to promote inclusion and diversity all throughout Quick Trip.
Wow. Thank you so much, Jordan, for your time and the information you have for us for potentially working for Quick Trip. I know that, as you mentioned too, in the mission and the philosophy of Quick Trip, they're here to give an opportunity for people, as long as we're honest and open and willing to take that jump and make that application. So again, thank you, Jordan.
Thank you.
And we'll look forward to seeing what Quick Trip has for us in the future. All right.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.